All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of In Depth with David. This is Bruins recap number 2, where we are going to be recapping the Bruins versus Capitals second game of their first round playoff series. And once again, I'm joined by my co host, also my cousin Bryan. How are you
Hello,
doing?
I'm doing good. Better result last night than game one, so pretty happy.
So, where do we want to start off with this game? Because I feel like this could go in a lot of different directions. We could talk about the penalties, we could talk about how the Bruins did matched up against the Caps.
Yeah, I mean, should we just start at the beginning? I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but at the very beginning of the game, there was like it was all smoky in the arena. I don't know if you noticed that.
So I was watching the Nesson broadcast, but they said on the NBC broadcast, I saw it on Twitter too, that people were talking about that, and they were wondering why the game looked so smoky. And I guess it was because of something the Caps did pregame. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what I heard too. But like, I mean, it just didn't look like I wouldn't want to be playing in that, like with all the smoke and stuff. I don't know like why that was necessary, but I mean, it cleared up like 10 minutes in probably. But I mean, it seemed pretty annoying. It wasn't didn't make for the best viewing experience.
Do you think that impacted the players on the ice too? I'm trying to
I
think.
mean, if you could like smell it and you're like breathing it in while you're like huffing, like while you're running on fumes and you're just breathing in like straight smoke from whatever they did before the game. I mean, that definitely I wouldn't like that, but I mean, I don't know. It probably wasn't too big of an impact, and so I don't think it affected the game too much. But I wouldn't want to breathe it in.
No, I agree with that for sure. And early on, I mean, we want to talk about breathing and like heart stuff. Like Bruins gave me a heart attack again. Like how bad of
Yep,
a start they got off to.
we didn't come out too good. It was looking like a repeat of game one.
Anthony Mantha had a good opportunity in front of the net early, and then Dowd had one right in front of the net for the Caps that
Yeah,
stopped by Raspat as a backhand shot. They were out shooting us at the beginning, 12-4. I mean,
yeah, not a good
not the
start.
start we needed.
I want to say it was like the first 4 minutes were like really ugly. So, but the Brusque opened the scoring. Luckily, even though we were getting outplayed, the Brusque put one in the net, and that's good to see from him because his playoff numbers are pretty good at like career wise, and he was just continuing it last night. He looked pretty good and put in the first goal.
Right. I mean, I think I brought this up in the last podcast where my highlight moment of playoff DeBrusque was that game 7 in 2018 against the Maple Leafs, where he had 2 goals in that third period to help us win that game. And he's got 2 goals in 2 games to start the playoffs here. I think more so that play was all Charlie Coyle
Yeah, for sure.
because he made a nice deke. I think it was around Brendan Dillon I have in my notes.
Yeah, he made like a nice deke, and he also drew like Craig Anderson way out of the net and did that wrap around, and yeah, he found DeBrusque out front for the like wide open net.
I think that play was a little weird to me for Anderson because, first of all, I get he's trying to make the aggressive play to come all the way out of the net, but
Yeah, he
I
didn't
don't
need
really
to.
understand how he didn't. It seemed like he took forever to get all the way back.
Yeah, I don't know. He was like so far out of the crease, and he really had no chance when literally DeBrusque was standing like where he probably should have been, like in the crease or whatever. But yeah, so we made him pay for that. That was good. But I mean, we couldn't hold on to that for lead for very long.
Right, because Pastrnak holds on to Mike Raffle, so he gets a holding penalty, which we'll talk about the officiating as this podcast goes on because it was a little dicey at times, but this was obviously Pasta's going to get called for this one.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah, he that penalty I was okay with him taking because I think Raffle probably would have had like an open lane to the net.
oh, for sure. So that
So
was
it
going to
wasn't
slow him down.
yeah, it wasn't the worst penalty, but like obviously you take a risk with letting him go to the net like uncontested or putting the Caps on the power play, and either way it's not a great outcome, but I was fine with the penalty.
And then on the power play, Ovechkin, who in their power play lines plays on defense, threw one
Yeah,
up from close to the blue line, and it deflected off TJ Oshie, making it 1-1. So, this is all. We'll get into more of this, obviously, but all 4 of their goals up until this point are all off deflections. So it's
yeah,
hard to blame Rask. I guess I was
yeah, it
maybe being
is.
a little too hard on him last
Yeah,
podcast.
I mean,
So
yeah, tips are it's so unpredictable, and you don't know where it's going to end up, but that just doesn't that's not a good reflection of our defense because ideally as a defenseman you want to be controlling like the guy's stick that you're covering out front. You also want to try to push him so your goalie can see the puck, and so yeah, his stick isn't available to tip the puck. So like just having like every goal in the series up to that point on Rask like having been deflected is just doesn't look good on our defensemen because we got to do a better job of clearing the net so Rask can easily see pucks.
Well, this was the second straight game where I wasn't really impressed with the defense. I think it's really concerning me how bad, just to be blunt, how bad they've been in these first two games. I hope they turn it around when we start playing in front of the home crowd, but like it's really been atrocious because the time on ice or the time of possession for the Caps has also been pretty dominant. They're not. It's not like they're just throwing one shot on net and then getting back on defense. They're almost. They have a lot of possessions where it's almost like they're on the power play.
Yeah, when they get the puck and they're working around the zone, it's so nerve-wracking to watch because they seem to like get high danger looks and like think shots that are high quality like so often, and it's really hard to watch as a Bruins fan because you just know it like one of those could find the back of the net no problem. But yeah, luckily Rask did a good enough job of keeping those out last night. And another thing the defense needs to clean up on is the odd man rushes. Like those are ridiculous the amount they've been happening, and it's partially it's on the defense, and then it's also like as a forward you need to back check and make sure you're back there to help out the defense. But it was ugly last night too, the odd man rushes.
Right, and I mean we'll get into it, but they capitalized on one.
Yeah.
But sticking in the first period, a few minutes later after Oshie scores, Pastrnak kept the puck in the zone. He centered it for Bergeron, who had a nice little snapshot, and just like that, it's 2-1 Boston again. We scored 2 goals in like the first 10 minutes of the game, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean Bergeron, that was a heck of a shot too. He put it like I think it was top right corner, like
snapshot,
absolutely ripped it. And I mean, we just kept getting out to we'd have the lead, and then we just can't hold on to it, which is like that's not ideal, obviously. And really, when you're playing with the lead, your defense needs to tighten up so you can maintain it, and we didn't do that last night.
Yeah. So, and the other note was the Bruins had 2 goals on 5 shots. So take it as you will, but I'll take it.
So when I was thinking, like at that point when we had 2 goals on 5 shots or whatever, I was thinking we just got to keep peppering Anderson because maybe his confidence is a little shaky right now, and so the more shots we get on him, like maybe the more chance we'll have of scoring and maybe just worsening his confidence because I don't know if you come out as a goalie and you make 3 saves on 5 shots, you just can't be feeling too good about yourself. And I was just really hoping the Bruins would lay it on after that and just get in his head even more. But he maintained, like, he only let in those 2 goals, and then he was right back to being a decent goalie. So that didn't happen, but I was hoping we'd just lay it on more.
And I think those are 2 pucks he probably could have stopped. The Bergeron one was just a nice shot, as you said. I don't know what he was doing on the DeBrusque play as he discovered. I mean, he probably could have been a little bit more conservative there. But the fact that we were able to get 2 goals on 5 shots is nice. But when you look at how many shots on goal the Caps had at this point, it was 12-4 at that point, then 12-5 after the Bergeron goal. So that just speaks to the start we got off to in this game. And then, as we were just talking about, we couldn't keep the lead for long. Orlov for the Caps fired one from the blue line, and then Hathaway deflected it in front, making it 2-2. And this is probably going to be the first one that I'm going to blame on Rask in the entire series, where, yes, it was another deflected goal, but it squeezed just so slowly through his pads, just like the OT goal in Game 1.
It reminded me of that one. And so, I think it deflected from, I think when it was deflected, if I remember correctly, it was pretty far out, towards the point. So I think that would have probably given Rask, the time he needed to adjust, but he just didn't get it, and it squeaked through him again, just like that overtime winner from Game 1.
And then after that, that was the last little action in the first period. Both teams end up having 18 shots apiece. So
yeah, that is super high.
Right. I mean, Bruins were able to get 14 shots off after being outshot 4-12 at the beginning. So they outshoot the Caps in the final few minutes, 14-6. And then something that wasn't really covered. I mean, I also watched the highlights of these videos on the YouTube channel for the NHL, and for some reason they don't talk about penalties too much, but we might as well address it here. There was 10 penalty minutes in the first period.
Yeah. The first or the second? Was it the first?
So the first period I have written down, there was 10 total penalties.
I believe what you have written down. I just wasn't positive.
Yeah. So Pasternak had a penalty, Nick Dowd, Marchand, Mike Riley, and Connor Sheary. They were all 2 minutes, so 2 times 5 is 10. My math is
Yeah,
correct.
for sure. Yeah, I don't know, especially Marchand, seeing him take penalties is not what we want because we need him on the ice.
Yeah, see, this one was okay. This, I think, was the one where he poked the
That was
stick
in the second period, I think.
That's what I thought. This
Okay.
one was okay. It was roughing.
Oh, I don't know if I remember this one, but I know that there's a bunch of match penalties and stuff too, where both guys would go to the box and.
Yeah, can we talk about that for a second? I thought that was stupid. Like, just do the referees, like, I'm not advocating for the Bruins or the Caps. I'm pretty neutral when I say this, but do the referees understand that just because someone's going to get penalized, that doesn't mean both people have to go to the box?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I understand why you would do it in some cases, but like, you don't need to do it every time. I don't know. I think when I know this is in the second period, but when Marchand got Mantha in the face with the stick and they both got penalties, that was a little interesting.
Yeah, we'll talk about Marchand at the end of the second period, but he just needs to, he needs to like stop taking the bait in situations like that because they're just trying to bait him into doing what he did in 2011 to 2018, where he's known to be, as I think a player called him in the league, this little ball of hate who's like full of antics and all that. So we just need to keep Marchand on the ice. I think he summed it up well in the last recap where he's been our best player all year. So you don't want him spending time in the box.
Exactly.
And then we jump to the second period, and Mantha gets a good shot on a 2-on-1, but Rask makes a kick save. So just a good stop by him to start the second period.
Yeah, I mean, two on ones. Don't want to see it.
Right. I mean, it just was a recurring theme, not only in the first game, but the second game. And just our defense needs to be better, and hopefully that can take a change come game 3. And then after Carlson on the Capitals trips Hall, Boston gets on the power play. And this is where we almost score again because Pasta had a chance right in front of the net. He had like the nice little backhand pass to Marchand. Marchand shot it, and then Pasta was right there for the wide open net, but he just couldn't bury it home.
I think I don't remember who was standing in front of him. I think maybe Brendan Dillon. I'm not positive, but I think whoever that was on the Capitals, when they did the replay, like I think he did get a piece of it on Pasta's shot because he had a wide open net.
He did. So when I saw this live, I just like rolling on the ground because I'm like, how did Pasta not bury that one home?
Yeah, like you're a Rocket Richard winner and you can't put it in the open net. Like, yeah, I was not happy, but I think I'm pretty sure, according to the replay, that I think it actually did catch a piece of the Cap's stick. So I guess it's not totally all his fault.
Right. That's good to know. I didn't even know that until you said it. So I guess I won't blame it all on Pasta.
Yeah, but still, you'd like to see him bury it either way.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I don't know what it is, but there's like, it's kind of becoming like a meme, I guess, with the Bruins in the playoffs and having wide open nets and kind of not being able to bury them.
I feel like that happens quite a bit for some reason.
I remember way back in 2014, this is throwback Bruins stuff, when we were facing the Red Wings in the first round, and I think it was like game 3 or game 4. That was the team with the Ginla, and Marchand in the third period of one of the games in Detroit had a wide open net, and he missed it. Then 5 minutes later, he had a wide open net again, and it was way more wide open, and he missed it again. And like the camera zoomed in on him on the bench, and he like was hiding his face, like he did not want to be seen.
Yeah, it's ugly. I don't know. We do that. It does. I do agree. It does seem like we missed a fair share of wide open nets for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I mean, I hate to bring this up, but he missed a wide open net in 2019 Stanley Cup in St. Louis. Yeah, this is going to be a meme. I think we're going to keep bringing up the series for whatever reason.
It would really, really help to fix that, patch that up if we took it home this year.
Right. No, I agree. Patch up this year and 2013. I mean, can't complain about that Blackhawks team, but that was a tough one too. Mm-hmm. But getting back to, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. That must be really hard to watch. But getting back to the game, Carlson I already talked about that one. Coyle, this was a 2-on-1 with Coyle and Hall, and Coyle was on the far right side. Hall was crashing in the net, which is what we talked about, what we want the Bruins to do. And Hall was trying to tip it past Anderson, but he just couldn't get it home. But you got to like these opportunities by the Bruins crashing the net.
Yeah, that's what you want to see. Like, just skate full speed at the net with your stick on the ice, and that gives the person carrying the puck, you can either shoot it at your stick and hope for the deflection in, or he can shoot it at the goalie's pads and maybe cause a rebound that Hall could tap in. But either way, it was a solid play, but Anderson stopped it. So.
And then later in the period, Bergeron redirected a shot from Grzelcyk from the blue line and it ended up getting stopped by Anderson. So just another instance where, we're not putting the puck home, but that was that's probably one of the more underrated plays from this game is the deflection Bergeron was able to get on that puck because it wasn't like he was just standing still and just deflected it like a normal play.
Yeah,
he was moving and he was able to deflect it behind him and almost get it past Anderson.
I don't even know that shot would be on net had he not tipped it. And Bergeron's like one of the best players in the league at that tipping pucks, and he's very effective out front of the net, whether he's shooting or tipping it. So that's what you like to see from him.
And then we'll get into more detail about the whole Marchand situation right here at the end of the second period because he needs to stop taking stupid penalties.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, he just has a short fuse. I guess he just can't handle when someone's poking him. But personally, if I was in a situation, I would much rather not retaliate and have my team be up on the man advantage than retaliate and take a penalty and cause either a matching penalty or whatever. So I would much rather see him. I know it's hard for him. Obviously, he's always had the reputation of having a short fuse, and just be snapping. But I would much rather see him just skate away from situations like that than go into the box.
Right. I mean, I know he's even said to the media over the years that this is something he struggles with controlling his temper. I know a few years back he talked to a sports psychologist to kind of help him with these situations and how to control his anger. Obviously, we know about the whole licking incident a couple years ago in the playoffs, which is pretty gross. I try and defend Marchand a little bit, but something like that is just way out of line. And then obviously he did the other stuff with the slew footing earlier in his career. I remember a real brutal one the year after he won the cup when he did a backflip on Sammy Salo or something like that and could have ended his career. So it's just you want to see Marchand end these antics. I mean, and then again, Vancouver, the most famous one in that series. I mean, boy, was he just a lunatic to the Sedin sisters and all those people. So, I expect him. He's more mature.
Yeah, for sure. We as long as he's not getting suspended, where we should be in good shape. But he just luckily he hasn't done anything too crazy recently. So as long as he's not getting suspended, I hope he can maintain that trajectory.
Right. I mean, and going back to that 2011 Cup Final series and talking about suspensions, I have no clue how he did not get suspended once in that series. I mean, there was one instance where he backflipped someone on the Canucks and then punched someone else in the face, then dropped both of his gloves and started wrestling two Canucks players. That's asking for a 5-game suspension or whatever.
I guess at that point in his career, he wasn't as much as an established goal scorer or point getter, so he was just doing anything he could to be on the ice and make an impact on the game. I guess that was probably what that was. I don't know.
And it was a different time too with the NHL.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like they were less soft, I guess, with this stuff, or more lenient, however you want to put it. But hopefully Marchand is able to keep his head up and skate away, like you said. But going back to the penalties, there was 14 total penalty minutes in the second period. Let's just take a quick minute to address the officiating. How do you think it was last night?
I mean, I didn't really they called a lot of match penalties, which I don't really know how I feel about it one way or the other, but I mean, there was just a lot of penalties. I don't know. What did you think? I wasn't too sure. I didn't really have an opinion.
I thought the match penalties were a little weird, and I also kind of thought it was annoying how there's going to be scrums after every single play or after every single stoppage and play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The match penalties again were a little excessive. I think they should have let them play, but when they let them play, it was weird. I don't know. And then the whole Tom Wilson thing, we'll talk about that for a second. I think we texted about this in our group chat where I, by no means, am defending Tom Wilson. I think he's an absolutely dirty player, but there is no way that he embellished getting tripped by whoever that was in that play. I think it was Clifton tripped him, I think.
I don't think it was an embellishment either. I mean, you could see his stick was in Wilson's feet, and then I think his whole body eventually was in Wilson's feet, and then
Right.
Wilson fell down. Like I don't know, like that was a bit of a stretch to call a dive on, but yeah, I mean, as a Bruins fan, it helped, but I mean, it's not something like that you necessarily want to see.
Yeah. So the penalties in the second period I have written down: Washington tripping, Boston interference, Capitals unsportsmanlike conduct or embellishing. That was the Tom Wilson one. And then slashing by Marchand, Mantha high sticking. So that was also that little scrum where they got match
Yeah,
penalties. And then two more match penalties as I think Craig Smith and Nick Jensen got into it.
yeah,
So
that they were going at it for quite some time, just in the middle of play. I want to say, and that was
yeah,
funny.
they
But
they cut the. I remember they cut the camera, and Jack Edwards is like, "What in the world is going on back there?"
yeah,
So,
they're all over each other. But I understand they were just trying to. I guess they were just really trying to keep the game from like boiling over with. I guess that is probably how they justified calling so many penalties, like after whistles and during scrums. But yeah, I know it's playoff hockey. Like you can let them play sometimes, but yeah,
yeah, I mean, if their plan was to call all these penalties to try and keep the game from boiling over, like you said, clearly that didn't work since it was
yeah,
chippy from start to finish.
yeah,
But I mean, I'm more for that too. If it's playoff hockey, just let them throw a couple punches here and there, like push each other after the whistle. Like, what's the
yeah,
worst that's going to come out of it? You're not getting punched, ref. I mean, it
yeah.
doesn't matter.
Another thing was I think we definitely did shake up the lines this time too. I think DeBrusk, I want to say that in game one he was on the fourth line. This time he was on the second line, and the fourth line really did not get much ice at all. Like the entire game, they went a long time without seeing the ice, which is really something we didn't do in the regular season. In the regular season, for the most part, we would roll all four lines. So I guess Cassidy didn't really like what he was seeing in the fourth line last night because he kept them on the bench for like good stretches of the game, and you would really only see fourth line players out there like killing penalties. So he did shake it up a bit from game one.
Do you like having DeBrusk in the third line now? Do you think he's earned it since his good
Yeah,
performance?
yeah, I think so. I mean, when he's on, we don't need to put him on the fourth line. When like I get you put him on the fourth line, send him a message like you gotta earn like being on a top three line. You gotta earn it. You're not just giving it based on reputation. So I don't mind him being on the fourth line sometimes, but clearly he's been hustling out there, so I think he's earned his spot on the third line, and so I do like to see him there.
What do you think about, because I don't think he played in game one, number 6, Mike Riley on the
Mm-hmm.
Bruins, the defenseman.
Yeah.
How do you think he played last night? Do you think that was a good decision by Bruce to put him in there? Because I didn't see much from him. His only stats I have right here are 3 shots on net, but it's fine for a defenseman. You don't expect too much.
So game one, I really didn't notice him at all. I think he played, but I didn't notice him. In game two, I don't remember exactly what period it was or anything, but I know he's like very offensively minded, and sometimes he does like get us good chances in that way. I think last night he had a good opportunity where he skated around the net and passed it out front, and someone on our team got a good shot. But there are times where he is a bit of a liability on defense, where because he is offensively minded. But I mean, since the trade deadline, I've liked as a whole package. I've liked what I've seen from him, and I think he fits in well. But we just need him to tighten up defensively, and not just him. The whole defense as a whole needs to tighten it up because, as we talked about many times, the Capitals get too many 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s and stuff like that. But I mean, I think I wouldn't bench him or anything like that. I like Mike Riley, and I think he'll figure it out as the series moves on.
Who do you think is the strongest person on our defensive lines? Because I think the slam dunk answer is probably Charlie McAvoy.
Yeah,
I don't know if you agree with that.
I agree. Charlie McAvoy is definitely like when it comes to he gets things done. He doesn't just wait or sit back, and when he has the puck, he skates it up the ice, and he doesn't just wait for like an opportunity to pass the puck. He'll skate it himself and get it into the offensive zone, and I really like that from him. And that's something our team needs to really spark like entries into the zone where we maintain puck possession. So I do think Charlie McAvoy is probably our best defenseman, but not so much last night, but throughout the season. And Kevin Miller has been a very good defenseman for us. He skates well, and he also skates well with the puck. But I mean, last night
We'll talk
I don't
about
think
what he did last
he
night.
didn't look too good last night. But yeah, so I think Charlie McAvoy and Kevin Miller are two guys that are really important for our blue line.
Yeah, I always admire how the Bruins are able to find these defensemen that not only can play solid defense, but also have enough chops to be able to generate some offense. Obviously, we saw that a few years ago with Dougie Hamilton before we
Yeah.
traded him. He's a great offensive defenseman. Torrey Krug, well undersized, did the same exact thing, was able to score a lot. And then we have someone like McAvoy, who's just kind of like a great size. I think he's like 6'3", something like
Yeah,
that.
he can do it all.
He can do it all. So, yeah, I think he's a great strong point to our defense for sure. But before we move on to the second period or the third period, I think we both talked about this last night when we were texting each other that the second period was probably the strongest for the Bruins all game. I think we outshot the Caps 15-10, but I just like the opportunities we were getting more, and I thought we were putting more pressure on them in this period rather than just, shooting once and getting back on defense.
Yeah.
I thought we were getting consecutive good looks put on Anderson.
Yeah, we definitely were. And a lot of it, I want to say, was played 4-on-4 because of all the penalties. But
Right.
so you want to see us do that like even strength. But I mean, I'm not going to complain. It definitely was a strong period. And up to that point in the series, it had to be our best period, I would say.
For sure. Even though we didn't get any pucks in the back of the net, I would
Yeah.
agree that that's the best we looked. But heading into the third, this is where things get a little bit bad for the Bruins. After ending the first period well and ending and playing a pretty strong second period overall, I don't know if you saw this too, but it seemed like the Bruins just came out of the third period pretty flat.
Yeah. Well, and then it didn't. I think we ended up taking a couple penalties, right? So that didn't help.
Yeah, so 2 minutes into the third period, Nick Ritchie roughs up TJ Oshie, and then about 5 minutes into the period, Taylor Hall gets 2 minutes for tripping. So
yes. So that first penalty, we killed it, and that was such a relief because you don't want the Caps on the power play. And then the second penalty, we killed that too, I believe. I want to say
we did somehow, some way.
Yeah, but that was so hard to watch. We just killed the penalty, and then Taylor Hall, I think it was, takes a trip, and then they're right back on the power play. So that's something. The discipline is something that needs to get worked on, and that's something you can clean up easily. I don't know, you just gotta stay out of that stuff and just control your stick. And I don't think there should be a huge issue going forward with just keeping it disciplined. I mean, but the Caps are dragging us into it, so we'll see. But that was just heartbreaking. I don't know. We killed one penalty. You have Ovi sitting in his spot, and every time he gets it, it's going to be a dangerous shot. And we killed it, and then we just immediately were back on the penalty kill right after. But we killed that one too, so we came out okay after those two penalties.
Thankfully, I mean, both power plays weren't really able to do too much in this game. That was probably one of the few disappointing things that happened in last night's game for the Bruins. We had some good chances on the power play.
I think our power play, I know we scored in the first game on it, but I think overall our power play looked a bit better this game. We actually had maintained possession in the zone. So I think we improved our power. Like, it still has a lot of way to go until it's like at our peak in terms of power play, but it looked better than the first night, I think. So that's something.
Yeah, and then as I talked about earlier, we had those good chances with both Pastrnak and Marchand. We wish Pastrnak could have buried it home on the power play with the open net, but it's good to see. I would definitely agree it's trending in the right direction. But yeah, I mean, the power play unit for the Bruins, when we're playing shorthanded, I'm talking about actually the power play killing unit, we're getting the job done, but They give me a heck of a heart attack for just letting the Caps pass the puck around, like just letting them dance with the puck or whatever. And I get it. You're down one man and there's only so much you can do in situations like that. And then I get nervous when we get possession of the puck, but then we can't get it out of the zone. We try and flick it up.
There's like 3 instances on one power.
What are the Kings of doing that?
We just couldn't get it out. And it's weird. It's like almost our penalty kill is like the exact opposite almost of how Washington kills penalties. Like, Washington's pretty aggressive and they seem to get it out pretty easily. Whereas the Bruins, we just sit back and let them pass it around, and we just tried not to let them shoot it from the middle of the ice. But it is really hard to watch because Washington's just in our zone the whole time, and it's very stressful.
Right. And I mean, I keep thinking we're going to get out of it when we get the puck, and it's like, oh, thank God we'll be able to clear it. And then someone flicks it off the glass, and then, there's Chara able to keep it in the zone. So, yeah, definitely nerve-wracking times whenever the Bruins are on the power play kill. But then the Caps, after the Bruins kill off a couple power plays, end up taking their first lead of the game on a Hathaway goal, 3-2. 2-on-1 for the Caps,
Yeah,
just their bread and butter in the series.
Kevin Miller made a terrible pinch. We're in a tie game. You can't afford to be taking chances like that late in a tie game. Kevin Miller, like pinched up the ice and was caught in the neutral zone. He wasn't even part of the play really. And the Capitals made us pay. And I know yesterday we were talking about Ovechkin celebrating. I don't know if you caught it. I think Nick Dowd, I want to say, had the assist. He didn't even score the goal. He had the assist, and he was celebrating like he just won the Stanley Cup winner. I don't know that really. I was like,
It's
I
too
wasn't a fan
much.
of that. Yeah, you didn't even score. You passed it like it was a good pass, but you look like a fool celebrating like that when you passed it. You didn't even score.
Yeah, so going back to the Kevin Miller thing quickly, that was an unnecessary gamble, like you just said, him playing up in the zone. He should have just stayed in our defensive zone. And then once he knew the Caps were able to get the puck past him, it was over because I think DeBrusk was the only one back, and then Griswold came too late. And obviously, they were able to bury it home on Tuukka's far left side. And yeah, just disappointing to see because, again, once they got the puck past Kevin Miller, he's not going to skate back in time. So
Yeah,
just their 2-on-1s.
they're two on. I don't know. And when we get 2-on-1s, like our passes seem to always get intercepted. I don't know what it is, or I think our players should probably just take it to the net more and just shoot it themselves because it's not working when we try to pass it on when we have those types of opportunities on the 2-on-1s. But yeah, Kevin Miller made a bad play.
Because Krejci, I think in this game had a 2-on-1 with, I want to say, either Craig Smith or Taylor Hall. And this is the same thing that happened in game 1 with Pasternak and Marchand, where they're so far apart on the ice in these 2-on-1s. Like, they're basically at the opposite sides of the ice. So if you try and pass it, there's a good chance the defender can just put his stick out and he'll be able to stop it.
But I mean, that's the thing. It's not like you want to be far apart enough because you obviously want to get the goalie moving, but the farther apart you are, obviously, like the more risk you have of getting the pass intercepted. So, yeah, right. But I remember that like one specific example from last night of that pass that just got intercepted when we had like a pretty dangerous looking opportunity.
Yeah, and then going back to that Orlov or whoever was Nick Dowd who did that celebration. I mean, the cameras even caught it too. I think they had like a camera focus on him during the whole celebration. He's like,
first I was like what? I was like, okay, and then I found out. I initially just sitting in the celebration. I was like, oh, he must have been the one that scored. He passed it. He didn't even score that. I was like, all right. I mean, he looked like a fool, but
yeah, and it's like you're capitalizing on a 2-on-1 against the Bruins defense. I'm so proud of you. Like, honestly, there's nothing to be happy about. Like, it's game 2 of the bleeping playoffs, but whatever. And that's just something that's going to irritate me for the rest of the series. I hope the Caps don't score again, so I don't have to witness that.
Yeah, it was nice that we didn't. It was nice that we stuck with it and didn't let him walk away with the win on that.
Right, because this came with like 12 minutes left when the Caps scored the lead, and I kind of was already packing the game in.
Yeah,
but, after that, Krejci had a great chance in front of the net, but Craig Anderson was able to stone him. Craig Smith of the Bruins sent him up with a nice pass from behind the net. So just another great opportunity that the Bruins had in front of the net. Obviously, one later in this game when we finally crashed the net, went home, but it's just good to see us, taking it right to Anderson because I think as we showed with the Coyle goal, when you get up close to him and challenge him in the crease, it's hard for him to rebound.
Yeah, for sure.
And then this is where the big opportunity comes in for the Bruins. Taylor Hall cashes in on a play he actually started. He was skating on the left side. He threw it into the crease for Craig Smith, who was right in front of Craig Anderson. There's a ton of Craigs in the series. And McAvoy ends up crashing the net. There's just a slew of bodies everywhere. And Hall, who started it by throwing the pass in front of the net, skates around. The puck's just waiting for him right there in front of the red line. And then he just squeezes it right under Craig Anderson's pad. And the Bruins end up tying it 3-3 with 2:49 remaining.
Yeah. So I can't remember who it was exactly, but a Capitals player pushed one of the Bruins players like right on Craig Anderson. Had a big reason why it went in. Yeah. And honestly, I was hoping the Capitals challenged it because if you lose a challenge, like in the I don't know if it's a new rule or just the season or what, but if you lose a challenge, the opposing team gets a power play. So we would have been up by one end on the power play had they challenged because I don't think you could have overturned that goal.
I didn't. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I think that's a big reason why they didn't challenge it.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you. I mean, because I was shocked that Lavoliette or whatever his name is, the coach, didn't challenge that one because, I mean, we'll talk about the goal first. Just what a resilient play by the Bruins, and this is what happens when you get to Anderson in front of the net. I mean, yeah, it didn't go in initially, but you just crashed the net on this guy and really on any goalie, and they were able to just punch it home.
That every coach will say, just play into the whistle, keep trying to put it in until the whistle blows, and that's exactly what we did on the play. So it was nice to see Hall get rewarded for his hard work and like just sticking with it.
Yeah, and a heck of a play by Hall to stick with it, like you just said, because he was the one who started it by throwing it on net, and he could have just watched everyone else, in front of the net try and fight for the puck, but he was in the right position at the right time, and he was able to bury it home, and we're able to tie it. And there was less than 3 minutes remaining at this point.
Yeah, so we were getting like a decent amount of chances, like from when the Capitals scored and up to that point, but I just really didn't have much faith we would tie it up. And if we didn't score on that part, like if we didn't score on that opportunity, it would have been ugly because there was just so many bodies and so much commotion. But yeah, Hall got it, so tied it up.
Just a resilient play, and we'll take a second to address this comment from a good friend of mine from college, Joe. Thank you for watching. Bruins didn't start periods well, but they finished the period strong. They need to come out ready in Game 3. I would say that's a pretty accurate take.
Yeah, I would agree with Joe.
As we said, got up to a shaky start in the first period, finished that one well. Overall, pretty consistent in the second period. Came up short at the beginning of the third period, just looked really lost because part of that had to do with having to deal with power plays.
And setting the tone at the beginning of a period can like really impact how the whole rest of the period goes. So you do want to see your guys get out to a hot start, like we saw it yesterday when the Capitals like just started their period, like first period, they were just hitting everything in sight, and that really set the tone for the rest of the game. So it is important to start periods off right, and yeah, we really didn't do that yesterday, but we still came out with the win.
So going back to the goal, are you convinced there was nothing that could have made it overturned where Charlie McAvoy gets called for goalie interference? Because
I don't think so. I think the call would have stood as a good goal.
I think so too. It's kind of close though, and I would have gotten really nervous if it got reviewed because Sherry did push McAvoy, but you could have made. I guess maybe you could have made an argument that McAvoy could have stopped himself, but. Nonetheless, I mean, just happy that we were able to punch it home. Couple more opportunities before the end of the third period as Coyle and McAvoy had a 2-on-1. But once again, we can't cash home on a 2-on-1. But I thought this was a good opportunity by McAvoy. I thought he got a good shot on this one.
Yeah, he was like right out front, right, and he just got saved by Anderson, I want to say.
Yes. So Coyle was on the left side, and he ended up passing it to McAvoy, and McAvoy right in front of the net had a good shot, but Anderson made a good save.
Yeah, it would have been nice to finish it up early and save everyone the heart attack of overtime, but,
right.
We pressed on.
For sure, and we'll take a second to address this comment, too. Happy to see Lazone hit the pine for Cliffy. Lazone has taken way too many dumb penalties, and you cannot put Washington in the power play. And I agree, too dangerous to challenge.
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't even mention that Lazone wasn't playing last night, and Clifton got the nod. And I like Clifton because he's like, honestly, it's like a lot of our defensemen where they're not like big guys or anything, but they can get the puck and they can skate with it and make good breakout passes tape to tape, and that's what Clifton gives you. So I was happy to see him in.
Would you like to see Lazone make his way back into the lineup? Because if I remember correctly, I think he had a good start to the season.
I think Lazone, I mean, I'm not even positive. I like watch the Bruins a lot, and Lazone never sticks out to me in any particular way, so I don't really know much about him. But they say, like, some people say it's a good thing as a defenseman if you don't stand out, because that means you're not making big mistakes and, maybe you're not making flashy offensive plays, but that's not really the goal of playing defense. So I don't know. He doesn't really stick out to me in any particular way, but I mean, I'm okay with him being subbed out and Clifton being subbed in, because Clifton makes good plays and he's able to move the puck well.
Would you want the Bruins to bring back Matt Irwin?
How many games did Matt Irwin play? I could not tell you, honestly. I
think he played like 2 games in 2015. I just remember his highlight being opening night, I think against San Jose or whatever, and he had a puck up against the back of the net, and it was just so easy. No one was around him, but he kept on whiffing at it, and then he hit it. San Jose took it and they just made Rask look like a fool. But yeah, I mean, legendary Bruins player. I'd take him back.
Absolutely.
So yeah, after that, game goes into overtime. Second straight game that goes into overtime. And just take us through what happened in overtime.
I mean, it was just going to overtime in the first place is not something you want. I don't remember all the specific players involved. I think Grizzly had it at the point, I want to say.
So Krejci kept it in the zone. Then he passed it to Grizzlick, and then Grizzlick was the one who found Marchand.
At that point, I was yelling at Grizzlick to shoot it. I was like, shoot, what are you doing? And of course, they know better than I do. And Grizzlick finds Marchand wide open, and Marchand just one times it perfect, and it just found the back of the net. And man, that celebration, I don't know if you caught it, Marchand skating up to the bench and just jumping right into Hall's arms. That was a great celebration.
I wish we saw that, but I have to rip on the NBC and Nesson cameras because they showed Krejci right after the goal.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. I remember, like, right when it happened so fast. My family and who was watching the game within the room, since the camera went on Krejci, we all were like, "Oh, Krejci must have scored!" Like
that's what I thought too.
Yeah, I don't know why they zoomed in on him. It was an odd choice.
Yeah, but nonetheless, the Bruins take it 39 seconds into overtime, so we even up the series one game apiece. And yeah, just going back to that, I mean, great play by Krejci to keep it in the zone, just like Coyle did when Bergeron scored the second goal of the game. So just great for the Bruins to be sticking with it. I'd say that's a great word to describe this game as resilient, because that's how we scored a lot of our goals. And that's how, quite frankly, we were able to steal game here from Washington, because we did not play well enough. We didn't play horrible enough to deserve to lose, but well enough to win.
Yeah, it really could have, I think that is pretty much an indication that it could have gone either way. We weren't horrible and we weren't outstanding. So it really could have been a toss up. And, that's pretty evident by the game going to overtime, because any team could have won. But it was nice to get that game finished quickly in overtime and not have to sit through it. And, it's hard to watch overtime games.
Right. And I don't know how Marchand was wide open for that long on the right side, but Grizzlick found him, able to bury it home and pass Anderson. And off to Boston we go as it's tied 1-1. What did you think of the goaltending in this game on both sides? Because I feel like Rask was pretty solid except for that one goal that squeezed through his pads. You can't blame him for the 2-on-1. Can't blame him for the other deflection. But yeah, I wasn't too impressed with Anderson. But again, what do you expect out of a 38-year-old goalie who's been told you got to come in for an injured player?
Yeah, I mean, we put up a lot of shots, and Anderson, I don't know, some goals like the Marchand one. That's a one timer from across the ice. There's honestly not much you can do there, but it wasn't a great angle, so he could have had it maybe. But I don't know. He could have played better, and Rask had a fine game, so I think the goaltending was all right for both teams. I don't know if it was particular. I don't think either goalie had a great night, and I don't know if either one had a horrible night.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it. I mean, we put 48 shots on net.
Yeah, that's a lot of shots.
39. I think
that's how you wear down a 39-year-old goal. You just got to keep firing it on him.
Yeah, and I mean, save percentage was .923 for Bruins, .917 for the Caps. I just think, yeah, like we said, that's the way you're going to win the series, is just keep putting as many shots as you can on Anderson, because he's going to get worn out, or he's bound to make mistakes. This is really a series for the taking for the Bruins offensively. I think we can really stick it to Anderson. I mean, it was weird because we had a great strategy at the beginning of the game with scoring 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. Then we kind of cooled off in the middle parts of the game. And then we finally picked it up again in the last few minutes of the third period and then in overtime. So, just got to keep doing that.
Yep.
And then we head into game 3. So we'll just talk about this quickly. What do you think what's your prediction for game 3? Obviously we're going to be playing in front of the home crowd. Next 2 games right in Boston. How do you think it's going to go? So
I think we're going to come out setting that tone for one of these games. I think we're going to have the edge going through a whole game, because we've come out, pretty flat the past 2. And I think we're due to, really hold on to one of these games and control the pace of it. So I think next game we're going to win. I think we're going to win 3-1. That's my prediction. 3-1.
That's actually my prediction too. I'm not even going to lie. I think we'll come out hot because we're going to be fired up playing against in front of a larger TD Garden crowd.
Yeah.
Also, I think, if we're not ready to be motivated now because of the news in Massachusetts where sports arenas are going to be 100% capacity by the end of the month. The fact that we could play Stanley Cup final in front of a packed crowd, that better be motivating these guys. So I think that could be a huge plus. I think we'll come out strong in game 3. I'd be thinking a little bit differently if this is the second straight game we're playing at home because anything can happen there.
Yeah.
But I think first game in front of the home crowd, we're going to set the tempo like you just said. I think Rask is going to do a great job goaltending. I don't know how I forgot that word, but I think the defense will step it up and finally, not allow as many good opportunities by the Caps. And I think we'll be able to get to Anderson again. So I think 3-1's a solid score, solid prediction. Yeah, I mean, just a good game from the Bruins. Nothing amazing, but nothing awful. Just glad we were able to sneak out a win.
We came out with the win. That's at the end of the day. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much going to do it for this recap. I mean, unless any other talking points you want to bring up, I feel like we covered a lot.
Yeah, I think that we put down a solid 45 minutes.
Yeah, so that'll do it. Thanks everyone for watching this second Bruins recap. We will have a third Bruins recap after the game that happens tomorrow night. So we will probably do it sometime Thursday. We'll try and figure it out. Once again, let me remind everyone to absorb that like button, absorb that subscribe button. We will have more Bruins recaps coming. More Red Sox recaps are coming, just not with me and Ricky over these next couple of weeks because we're both undergoing wisdom teeth surgery. So, yeah, so we will be having guest shows on. It'll be like a little talk show or whatever where you have guests on. I will have Patriots recaps coming in the fall. Celtics play-in recap will be coming tomorrow with one of my good friends, so stay tuned for that. And then reality TV recaps will be coming this summer when 2 of my favorite shows come back, and Big Brother and Survivor. And then also I'll be doing some personal interviews every now and then. So look out for those throughout the weeks as the summer progresses. So get excited. More content is coming to this channel as I have more free time. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks again, Bryan, for joining me. And we will be talking to you again in a couple days. All right, everyone. Take care.